Our second lesson this morning comes from the prophet Isaiah, chapter 60, verses 1 through 6. This morning, I will be reading from the Jewish Publication Society translation of the Hebrew text called the Tanakh. But I invite you to follow along in the New Revised Standard version, which is located in your pew Bible. Let us listen together for the voice of the Lord. Arise, shine, for your light has dawned. The presence of the Lord has shone upon you. Behold, darkness shall cover the earth, and thick clouds the peoples. But upon you the Lord will shine. And God's presence will be seen over you, and nations shall walk by your light, kings by your shining radiance. Raise your eyes and look about. They have all gathered and come to you. Your sons shall be brought from afar, your daughters upon the shoulders. As you behold, you will glow. Your heart will throb and thrill. For the wealth of the sea shall pass on to you. The riches of the nations shall flow to you. Dust clouds of camels shall cover you. Dromedaries of Midian and Ephah. They shall all come from Sheba. They shall bear gold and frankincense, and shall herald the glories of the Lord. All the flocks of Kedar shall be assembled for you. The rams of Nabaioth shall serve your needs. They shall be welcome as offerings on my altar, and I will add my glory to my glorious house. Holy wisdom, holy word. Thanks be to God. Raise your eyes and look about. Lift your eyes and look around. Stars. When was the last time you went stargazing? I mean, a time when you went outside, took your time, and really looked up and marveled at what you witnessed overhead. Stars, and spinning planets, and speeding comets. It's all just magic, really. And quite humbling, I think, to look up and consider what is out there. Stars. People have been looking up since humans came into being. They imagined shapes and images in the heavens and gave them names. Orion and Aries and Aquarius and Canis Major. Travelers used these heavenly bodies for directions. Farmers tracked the seasons by the changing positions of the stars. Temples and monuments were built to reflect the heavens and draw upon their celestial power. Dreamers saw visions, and prophets saw signs in the stars. On this Epiphany Sunday, we celebrate the ancient stargazers, Zoroastrians, people from the East, who observed a star at its rising, they said, and then they set off on a journey. They followed the star until it stopped over Bethlehem, the story goes, and that we just recounted and just heard. And they came to pay homage to the Christ child, a king, and to offer their impractical gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, gifts with spiritual and celestial meaning, even though I'm sure Mary thought, what are these gifts? Stars. Weeks ago, Pastor Karen told us that physicist Brian Cox wrote that it is impossible to visualize the scale of the universe. You may remember this. We had grapefruits and marbles, and we're spaced out in the sanctuary. to represent the universe. She reminded us on that day that scientists say there are 200 billion stars in the Milky Way. Now, in addition to that, consider this. There are 200 billion trillion stars in the observable universe. That's the number 200 followed by 21 zeros. That's just in the visible universe. There are sure to be more out there. Scientists actually speculate that there are more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on the earth. Think about that. It's actually unfathomable. Stars. Blazing hot balls of hydrogen and some helium, seemingly dangling in the heavens, surrounded by vast quantities of space. They shine because of nuclear fusion in their core. And inside stars, there are also small quantities, just trace amounts of heavier elements like carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. These elements, scientists say, were created in the heart of previous generations of stars. And when those stars reached the end of their life cycle, these ancient heavenly bodies collapsed upon themselves and then exploded, scattering all of these elements, this star stuff, throughout the universe. Now, these elements, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, along with hydrogen, are the building blocks of all life in the known universe. All life in the known universe. All life. From stars. Stars. In early 2024, in an interview with Leslie Stahl from 60 Minutes, astrophysicist, author, lecturer, and, let's be honest, all-around amazing dude, Neil deGrasse Tyson, was asked what he thought was the most important discovery in his field. No small question. After he paused for a moment to think, and Leslie Stahl actually apologized, thinking that maybe this was too big of a question, he said, no. Nearly 70 years ago, a group of scientists made the discovery about carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen being born in the heart of stars and then scattered throughout the universe. And that all living things were literally made of stardust. Literally. Then he said this: we are not simply alive in the universe. The universe is alive in us. It borders on the spiritual, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson said. It doesn't just border on the spiritual. That is spiritual. We, you and I, are made of the stuff of stars. 2,600 years ago, the Hebrew people, the nation of Judah, the southern kingdom, was taken into captivity by the Babylonian Empire. And Jerusalem was destroyed and the temple razed. Now, if you've been around Northminster for a little while, you have heard this story before. This story, along with the Exodus narrative, gives shape to much of what we call the First Testament, or the Hebrew Bible, commonly called the Old Testament. It is always important that we acknowledge this as the background for those texts. They were informed by it. In fact, they were formed out of it. And so this text belongs to the historic setting, or these texts belong to this historic setting first and foremost. And in fact, the Babylonian exile and captivity is the contextual framework for the entire book that we call Isaiah. As a result, Isaiah is this unique combination of doom and gloom and promise and hope. And the latter part of this text, from which this morning's second reading comes, was written as the nation was preparing to return home after nearly 2 generations of captivity. Consider that. 2 full generations as captives in a foreign land. Not knowing what to expect upon the return, the prophet named Isaiah spoke these words to the people. Arise, shine, for your light has dawned. Upon you, the Lord will shine, and God's presence will be seen over you. And nations shall walk by your light, kings by your shining radiance. Raise your eyes and look about. As you behold, you will glow. Your heart will throb and thrill. This promise rose in them not because of their own abilities or the depth of their faith or faithfulness or the purity of their religious observances. No, this promise rose in them because of the God who had been with them all along, who had sustained them, and who was now going with them into yet another unknown, the God of covenant. So the prophet told the people, arise, shine. Your light has dawned. Raise your eyes and look about. As you behold, you will glow. Consider what that might have meant for them as they went into their uncertain future together. Consider what it might mean for us. For this promise is ours too. Not because we are the people to whom this text was originally written. No, that has nothing to do with it. This promise is ours too because of the truth behind the promise, that which undergirds it all, the light of the world. Light has dawned upon you. The light of the Lord will shine. Second Testament scholar Dr. Amy Jill Levine wrote, once the followers of Jesus recognize that they are light, they also recognize that their role is to shine so that others can find their way. People are drawn toward this light because of your effulgence, your shining radiance. After all, you're made of stardust, the stuff of the universe. How can you do anything else but shine? So friends, it's time. It's time to shine. You need one another in order to see hope through the bleakness. The world needs your light. You are stardust. The promise is yours. And it's time to shine. So raise your eyes and look about. Lift your eyes and look around. As you behold the glory all around you, you will glow. To God be the glory. Amen.